There's a lot of rumors and speculation going around about Sony tackling another handheld game console. Not a remote player like the PlayStation Portal, which has gotten cloud support, so it can play a lot more games, but a dedicated handheld console. I've spoke at length on the Dualcomm podcast's most recent episode at the time of recording, which I will have linked in the description, about why I'm not sure a dedicated handheld console from Sony makes a lot of sense, or where it kind of fits into the ecosystem doesn't really work in today's gaming landscape like it did during the PlayStation Portable, PSP, and PS Vita days. But if Sony were to produce a handheld, I would probably buy one. And here are the games just that are at top of mind from my list of physical games that I would love to play if I had the option to on a PlayStation handheld. These will not all be PlayStation exclusives. They won't be PlayStation 5 exclusives. I'm sticking to PS4 and PS5 playable games, but there will be some that aren't exclusives just because they're games that I like to play and I think would make sense on a handheld, so sue me. First and foremost is Astrobot. What can I say about this game that hasn't been said already? I've showered it with praise at this point repeatedly on the podcast. Again, link below. And it's a game that I absolutely want to take with me on the go or when I can't play at my TV. It's a 3D platformer, absolutely perfect for handhelds in every way. It's super easy to jump in for 10, 15, 30 minutes and make progress unlocking some bots or going for completion runs, and you don't have to be too annoyed about getting interrupted. It's great for kids, it's great for keeping gaming sessions short, and it's a game that I'd absolutely replay endlessly on a handheld. It would be one game that I kept installed forever to just jump in when I just need some pure joy or to play a gamery game for gamers. I just hope that the handheld had some of the rumble and trigger features that the DualSense has, because those really kind of play into Astrobot in some neat ways. Infamous Second Son. I'm highlighting this specific game because it's a PS4 release, but if Sony ever allows someone to do more than dream of PS3 emulation on PlayStation 5, I'd happily play all of the Infamous games on handheld. These are Marvel Spider-Man-like games, which is hilarious to say since they came out long before those wonderful games, but they absolutely introduced us to this open-world superhero game formula, and all of the Infamous games are a lot of fun. You run and fly around an open city, in this case, Seattle. Make choices that affect your reputation as a hero and affect those around you, and use your new mutant powers to kick ass. I think this formula lends itself to easy in and out gaming sessions and the kind of gradual progress I'd like to play on handheld. It would make it a lot easier to get through the games too. Sucker Punch Productions developed all of the main Infamous games, the Sly Collection pack on PS3 and Ghost of Tsushima, plus the upcoming Ghost of Yotei. They don't miss. Knack. I know this game has been memed on for years, but an old school 3D platforming adventure game is always going to be perfect for handheld. It was made by Mark Cerny's game studio, that's the guy who is the architect of the newer PlayStation consoles themselves, to push the PS4 to its limits with particles and destruction, so it might be difficult to run on a handheld. But if Sony, or if Cerny, can make it happen, I'd happily give it a shot. It might breathe new life into the game, and perhaps we could get more people playing online co-op together too. Plus, the handheld is naturally going to appeal more to kids, which this kind of game is definitely suited for. Geometry Wars 3: Dimensions Evolved. Need I say more? God of War 3 Remastered. It's no secret that I love the original 6 original God of War games. They provide an incredibly satisfying gameplay loop of hacking, slashing, platforming, puzzle solving, and quick-time events. They tell a fun story through Greek mythos and are a perfect way to get your aggression out. The God of War 3 Remaster for PS4 was the perfect port in my opinion, being just a basic up-res port from the PlayStation 3 not long after the PS4's release, allowing the PlayStation 3 showcase game to run at a full 60 FPS and full 1080p, looking much nicer than it wound up being on the older console. I'd love to play this on a handheld, and I specifically included it as there have been rumors of a full God of War Greek-era collection coming to PlayStation 5, which would be a dream come true. We already know the old games work on handheld, as the Chains of Olympus and Ghost of Sparta PSP titles did so well on Sony's original handheld that they got ported up to the PlayStation 3. Plus, Ascension, the prequel that nobody played, had even more improved visuals over God of War 3, but was clearly held back by the console hardware at the time. Dear Sony and Santa Monica, please release this Greek-era collection. And should a PS handheld come to be, please put it on there too. Thanks. Raiden V. Even though I'm not amazing at them, I have a hard time not buying a copy of Raiden in physical form when I have the chance. I think Raiden 7 just released in a physical form somewhere. I'm probably hunting that down. I got so many hours out of Raiden 2 and 3 on Flash game websites during my middle school years that I felt like I owe the developers a ton of money by now. The ultimate classic shoot-'em-up experience with both a linear story mode and endless modes, 2-player co-op, this is a must for handheld play. Wipeout Omega Collection. Speaking of games that I suck at but always want to support, I specifically imported this physical copy of the Wipeout Omega Collection from Europe for the PS1 style box sleeve. It and Redout are both futuristic anti-gravity combat racers that can be a lot of fun if you get it and can really let you zone out and just enjoy your time. I think they would play great on handheld. Prince of Persia: The Lost Crown. I know this is already on Switch and PC, so there's 2 options to play it in handheld already. More reason for Sony to ensure my PS5 copy could be played in handheld mode. FIST, Fist Forged in Shadow Torch, is a Chinese-made game that plays very similarly to Prince of Persia: The Lost Crown, a side-scrolling, kinda Metroidvania-esque game set in a dystopian future where you unlock ancient powers and try to stop tyranny. It's a PS Plus freebie from recent months and would play great on handheld. Nier Automata. One of the most gamey games to have come out, between its fun mechanics and decently long story plus alternate endings, make it something I'd happily hack away at on handheld if I could. Returnal. It's a bullet hell and a roguelike. It's potentially my favorite game on PS5. I'd absolutely play it on handheld if I got the itch for more and couldn't play at my TV, especially if I could sync my sessions back and forth between my home console and the handheld. Warriors All-Stars. I think any Warriors game would play well on handheld, and I've already been enjoying Hyrule Warriors on the Nintendo Switch, so it's a no-brainer to have Warriors All-Stars on a PlayStation handheld, with this specific entry having lots of characters from different franchises mashed up together. It's a lot of fun. I didn't have Kingdom Hearts growing up, and I have struggled to get into the gameplay mechanics as an adult. It's hard to prioritize it over any other game I might want to play, but if I had it on handheld, I'd probably get around to it more. Crash Team Racing Nitro Fueled and Crash Bandicoot Insane Trilogy. I know the Insane Trilogy is on PC and I could play on my Steam Deck now, but CTR isn't. Having these on a PS handheld would be awesome, and I'd really love them to get Crash Bash going too. Please. Helldivers 2. I think Helldivers could be an easy handheld multiplayer experience. I'm not sure it'd be my preferred way to play, but for an easy multiplayer quick session game, I think it'd be a great pick, and I'd probably jump in on it when I just wanted something multiplayer but didn't want to do a competitive multiplayer, because that on a handheld is not fun, but this would probably be fun. Resogun. Twin stick shooter, another Housemarque title, yes, yes, and more yes. I really struggle to see where a PlayStation handheld would fit in the PlayStation ecosystem without having to just stream the games from PS5 like the Portal already does, because if the modern kind of gamer gets a system that doesn't run the games for their other system, I think there's just going to be some confusion. I'm not really sure. I think it could work. There were a lot of great companion games to major franchises on the PS3 with the PSP and the Vita, and the PS Vita had a long extra life due to the cult following it developed in the JRPG and visual novel scene. I do think there's a chance for it. I'm not sure where I see it fitting in. We talked more about this again on the Dualcom podcast up on BBK Dragoon's channel, linked in the description below. Let me know in the comments what games you would play on a PlayStation handheld, and remember to be kind, rewind.